Hi friends, welcome to my channel Power BI Skills. In this video, we will continue our discussion on KPI visuals and gauge visuals. In our last video, we had discussed about key performance indicators or KPI. We also discussed about what is KPI, how it is important for any organization, and we had also discussed about various examples of KPI indicators. We also learned about standard KPI visuals, which is available in Power BI, and the gauge visual, which is a standard gauge visual available. And we also learned about how to create a dial gauge visual. Dear viewers, if you have not seen the part 1 of KPI and gauge visuals video, then I would recommend you to please go through my previous video so that you would be able to relate to it. So we'll be using the same data set which we had used in our previous video. So we have a data set for collection department. So we have the collection numbers achieved by each of the collectors in the month of March and April. And we'll measure this against the collection targets assigned to each of the collector, and then we have the minimum collection which they are supposed to achieve in order to earn their variable pay, and the maximum which they can collect basis the total amount due by the customer. So let's get started. So friends, this is the example of KPI visual. On the left hand side, we have standard KPI visual. And on the right hand side, we have a customized KPI visual. So these are almost same. If you see the numbers which is appearing is the total collections achieved by a collector. And at the bottom, we have a goal, which we will be comparing it against the actual collection number, and how much percentage of collection done by the collector against the goal. So these are the dynamic visuals. So let's say if we select a collector name from the slicer, so these details would change. So let's say this is the detail for Radha. So she has collected 6.5 million against a goal of 6 million. And in terms of increase, our actual collection was 8.33% higher than the goal amount. Similarly, if we select, let's say Ram, he is not able to achieve his target. So target was 2.6 million. Against the target, he has collected 2.3 million. You can see these details are changing. And in the customized KPI, we have the description mentioned with emoji, and other descriptions are same, like in terms of percentage, how much percentage is against the goal, and then the goal amount, or I would say the target amount. So let's see how to create this customized KPI visual. Let's start from the scratch. Now here we have a blank Power BI screen, and we are using the same example which we had used in part 1 of this video, and we'll start creating a customized KPI visual. So before we start, we'll first create a slicer. In the slicer, I would add month. I would rather add the hierarchy. And from this hierarchy, I won't be needing quarter and day, so I'll remove that. And I will go to format, slicer setting, and from style, I would select drop down. And from selections, I would activate the option select all. So this is my slicer for the period, or I would say month and year. I would create another slicer for collector name, I would format this the way we did it for a previous slicer. Select drop down, select all from the selection, and I would also add the visual borders. We'll do the same in the previous slicer as well. We have two slicer. One is for collector name and other one is for the period. Now I would add a new standard card. It is a blank card, and in this card I would add actual collection amount. This is the actual collection amount. I would add the title. Let's say target versus actual. I will bold this and I would remove the category label because that is not required, and I would add the visual borders. Go to effects, I would turn on visual borders. Now we have this standard card with our collection details, but we do not have a description like which we had seen in our standard KPI cards. So let's incorporate the description as well. To add description, we'll have to first create a measure. I would name this measure as performance actual versus target. Shift enter. So here we'll have to create a few variables. Variable 1. So this would be my, I would name this variable as difference. So this would be my actual versus target difference, actual collections. So sum actual collections minus sum collection target. So this shows like how much I have collected, how much more I have collected against the target values. I would add another variable, and I would name this variable as emoji because we have to incorporate emojis and various symbols as well. Here we would use a switch to function, switch. Shift enter, then true, comma, shift enter. Here we have to mention the condition and the result. So if my difference is greater than 0, which means that my actual collection is higher than the target collection. So if this condition satisfies, my result would be, we'll have to add a symbol or emoji. To add symbol or emoji, we'll have to first click on the Windows button on the computer and then enter dot. Then we have options of all emojis appear. I would select smiley. So if the target is achieved, then the emoji would be smiley. Shift enter. And let's say if difference is less than 0, it means we didn't achieve our target. Then again, I will press Windows button and then dot, and I would select the disappointed smiley. Yeah. So this is the disappointed face because we didn't achieve our target. And the third option could be like where my actual collection is equal to the target collection. It means the difference is 0. So that could be the third option. In this case, I would select emoji like neutral face. Now this is the second variable. I would shift enter and create third variable. And I would name this variable as percentage. So here we have to calculate the percentage of amount exceeded than the target collection. So percentage would be difference divided by target collections. This is my percent increase or decrease. Shift enter. Now we have all three variables. I would return and now I would create my description. So I would start with emoji. Then I will add space. To add space, we'll have to enter and space, then inverted commas, and then again and. So now we have added one space, and now we will add a text, which is goal. Now we will add another space. And then we will have to add the target collection amount. So the target collection amount, if I add here, this would appear in the absolute amount, not in millions, but I need in $1 million. Then I'll have to write format. Then I have to enter the target collection. So some collection target. And I have to mention specifically the format of this amount. So that would be inverted commas, dollar, space. Then we would be needing in, let's say, digits. So I would write hash and then commas, then decimal, then 0, and then million. So this is the format of my target collection amount, bracket close. And now I have to add a space and inverted commas, and then we have to add the percentage. Before adding the percentage, because percentage has to be added in brackets, so I'll have to first create a bracket open, and then we will have to create a percentage. So percentage, if I add here, that would appear in decimals and not in the percentage term, but I need the percentage amount or percentage number in exact percentage term. So I'll have to format that. I would write percentage, and then I would write the format of that percentage. So that would be in two places decimal. So I would mention decimal dot hash hash, and then at the end I would mention percentage. Now since I need this information in brackets, so I have opened the bracket earlier, then I will close this bracket here. So I would add bracket close in inverted commas. So now our measure is ready. I will hit enter. So this is the measure which we have created is for actual versus target. So let's say if we have to create a similar measure for, let's say, comparing the current and the prior month's performance as well. So we can do the same. It's just that we'll have to copy this measure, create another measure, and we will write performance current versus previous month, and I will paste. I would delete actual versus target. So I'll make changes. So in difference, instead of actual versus target, we'll have to mention current versus prior month. So current month would be actual collections, that's fine. And here I would mention previous month collections. So the difference would be current versus previous month. In emoji, I would select a different emoji. So again, I'll go to Windows and dot, and this time I'll pick a different emoji. Let's say thumbs up. And let's say if the difference is greater than equal to 0, then thumbs up, and else this would be we'll select thumbs down. So if we have achieved our target, or if our collection is greater than or equal to the previous month collection, then it's a thumbs up. But if our current month collection is less than previous month collection, then it is thumbs down. Then again, we will calculate the percentage, but this time the percentage would be the percentage against a prior month collection. So in the denominator, we would select previous month collections. So now we have all three variables. Then again, we will write the description. We'll start with emoji, then goal. And in the format, instead of target collections, we would mention previous month collection. Okay. So we are all set, and I will hit enter. Now to add the description in our card, we'll have to create, or we will have to use another card. and I would select our measure which we have created. So this is the description which is appearing, but since the size is big, I would reduce the size of the description. I would go to call out value, reduce the font size to 15, and I would remove the category label as well. So one more thing which I have to do here, I have to make this card transparent. So for that, I'll have to go to General, Effects, and I would make this card transparent by increasing the transparency to 100%. And I would place this card besides, or I would say over the previous card of target versus actual. Now I have a KPI card, or I would say customized KPI card, which is having the actual collection number, and then we have a description like against this actual collection, what was the goal and how did we perform, like if we have achieved our goal or not. If not, then what is the percentage by which the goal is missed or by which we have exceeded the goal. So if I select the details for Rahul, so we'll get the details for Rahul. In case of Rahul, he has achieved the collection goal, and he has achieved the goal by 11.11%, or I would say exceeded the goal by 11.11%. Now we create a similar KPI card for current versus prior month. So simple, since we have already created a measure, we just have to create a new card. We'll follow the same process. We'll add the actual collections. We would remove the category label here, and we would add the visual borders. And we'll place another card and we will add description. And we would reduce the size, make it 15. We would remove the category label, and we will make this card transparent so that we would place it over our previous card. To make this card transparent, you have to go to Effects, Background, and increase the transparency to 100%. And let me place this here. Now if you want to see the data for Dave, so description is changing basis what options we are selecting from the slicer. Now if we have to add the color, dynamic color for these descriptions, so we can do the same. For that we have to create another measure and create new measure, name it as color, actual versus target. We'll first define a measure. We'll name this measure as difference. So if actual collections minus some correction targets. Then we have difference, and we will return, and now we would write switch function again. Now the condition is difference is greater than 0, then the color should be green. Difference is less than 0, it means we didn't achieve our target, then the color should be red. Else it should be yellow, it means we have achieved the target, but my actual collection is just equal to the target collection. And that's it. And we'll create a similar measure for changing the colors for our current versus prior month as well. I will create a new measure for that. Right, color current versus previous, and I will paste that. I will change the difference from target versus actual to current versus prior month. So actual collection is the current month collection. I will remove collection target, and I will mention previous month collection instead. Then rest of the codes would be same, and I'll hit enter. Now if we have to change the color for target versus actual description, I will go to format. I'll select this invisible, or I would say transparent card, go to format, go to callout value, and against the color we have a function option available. I'll click on this function option. From format style, I would drop down to field value, and then I will select the measure which we have created, which is color actual versus target, and I'll hit OK. Same process we will follow for our current versus previous one. Go to function. From format style, I'll select field value, and here I would select a measure color current versus previous. Click OK. Now you can see when we change the options from the slicer, details will change. And let's say if we select Ram, who was not able to achieve the target, then the color would turn red, and then we have accordingly the emojis would be changed. So in the first instance we have a disappointed emoji, and second instance we have a thumbs down emoji. In second case we would add header as well. Here to add header, I will go to format, I'll go to journal, and I would turn on the title, and I would mention current versus previous month, and I would bold this. So guys, this is how we have created a customized KPI card by incorporating various symbols, emojis, and a percentage, and we have customized way of incorporating the goal information. I hope you have understood this trick, how to customize the KPI visual, and you would be able to create this on your own. So guys, next is the circle gauge chart. This is a very simple chart which represent in terms of percentage how much we have achieved against the target. So let's say in this particular example, how much the collector has collected against the target. And if we say current versus prior month, how much we have collected against the prior month in terms of percentage. So let's say if we talk about Dave, Dave has collected 121.21% against the target. It means he has exceeded the target. Similarly for Radha, she has collected 123.81% against the target. And if we see the against prior month, she has collected 108.33% against the prior month collection. Similarly for Rahul and Ram, you can see in case of Ram, he is not able to achieve his goal. He is only able to collect 63.89% of the target collection amount. Even in the prior month collection, he is able to collect only 88.46% against his prior month collection. So his performance is not up to the mark. So let's start and create these circle gauge visuals from the scratch. To create a circle gauge model, we have to select this circle gauge or I would say a donut chart model from the visualization. Let me tell you that this visual is not a standard Power BI visual. To get this visual, you have to click on three dots, which is Get More Visuals, and select the Get More Visuals. From search, you have to write KPI, and if you scroll down, you will get Circle KPI Gauge Visual. You have to download this and put it in the visualization pane. So I have clicked on this circle gauge visual, and here to create this visual, we'll have to first do some calculation. I would create a new measure, and here we have to calculate the percentage of actual collections against the target collections. So I would write the title as percentage actual versus target. So my numerator would be actual collections and my denominator would be target collections. That's it. And I would format this to percentage. And let me create another measure to calculate the percentage of current month versus the previous month. I would name this as percentage current versus previous month. My numerator would be actual collection, which is current month collection. My denominator would be previous month collections. Hit enter. And I would also format the same. Okay, in first case, I would select actual versus target. Okay, and here I would also have to add the slices for month and collector, the way we did it in the previous example. So first I would add month remove quarter and day, and from format, slicer setting, select drop down and show all. Another slicer which we will select as for collector name. Select drop down, select all. I would add the border by going to general, effect, and I'll add visual border. Same I'll do in the previous slicer as well. Now if I select month April, and I would select collector name as, let's say, Dave. So he has achieved 121.21%, which is he has exceeded his target. The one thing which is strange, which is appearing, that the circle color is appearing as red, but if he has achieved the target, it should be green, not red. So we will go to format and we will change the low color to red and high color to green. Now it is making sense. I would increase the width of the circle, increase both outer line and inner line to 20. And I would also add the border for this chart. Done. Similarly, I would create another circle gauge visual for current versus prior month. For that, I would select current versus previous month, and I'll format the same in the same manner. Go to format, circle properties, change low color to red and high color to green, and also add the width, increase the width to 20, and in general I would go to effects and increase, or I would say create a visual border. So this is the example of the circle visual, and if you select the name of the collector, this visual will change. Let's say in case of Ram, since he was not able to achieve his target, so his percentage, actual versus target percentage, is 63.89. It means he has collected only 63.89% of his target collection. And if we compare his current month collection against previous month, he is only able to collect 88.46% of the previous month, unlike his other teammates who have managed to achieve their collection goals and targets. I hope you are able to understand how to create a circle gauge visual, and you would be able to create these visuals in your Power BI dashboard on your own. Thanks for watching, friends. Take care. Bye-bye.